Welcome into this week's show for this weekend's games in European soccer. Now, it's a short turnaround with more soccer action coming this weekend. We just had several of the leagues play in midweek. Now, even though some leagues will be off for Christmas, the EPL, Serie A, and 2 La Liga teams will still be playing. Now, in the midweek, I had 3 parlays. They went 2-1. That brings us to 35-13 on the season. I'll do my best to deliver a few more winners with Christmas on the way this weekend. Now, while watching, please help me out. Give this video the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and drop your favorite picks in the comments. Let's get started with parlay number 1. Starting on Friday, it will go into Saturday. It's in the EPL and Serie A. It's Aston Villa and Sheffield United. The Villains, they haven't let up all season. They're 3rd in the table. They're tied with Liverpool on 38 points, and they're 1 back of Arsenal for 1st overall. They're riding a 3-game winning streak in the EPL. They're undefeated in 9 and across all competitions, and they have just 1 loss in 16 across all competitions. Villa also have the league's best home record at a perfect 8-0-0. They've scored 25 while just allowing 5. In fact, they've won each of their past 15 home EPL games going back into last season. Meanwhile, for Sheffield United, they're 20th. They're favorites for EPL relegation right now, and they have a record of just 2-13. They've been outscored 43-12, and even worse, away from home, which is where they are here, they're 0-1-7, and they've been outscored 22-4. Villa just shut out Man City and Arsenal, and they can certainly do something similar here against Sheffield. We'll kick this parlay off with a Villa win. They should probably also score a couple goals if you wanted to make that a little bit better odds. Next, it's Sassuolo and Genoa. This is on Friday in Italy. Now, Sassuolo have been in poor form with only 2 wins in 11 in all competitions. They drew 2-2 at Udinese last week, but they have scored in 6 straight. Now, if you include just Serie A games, Sassuolo has scored in 7 straight games and in 12 of 14. However, they've also allowed a goal in all 16 games this season. That's something that only they and bottom side Atalanta have done. Bets on both teams to score and both teams scoring over 2.5 are on a 6-0 run right now in Atalanta game. So they are scoring, but they cannot seem to keep the back door shut either. Now, there's been 2 or more goals in 15 of 16 Sassuolo games, so you could probably bet over 1.5 in this game. Genoa have allowed a goal on the road in 8 straight games so far. They're also going to be dealing with several injuries, both up front and defensively. Striker Matteo Retegui, forward Albert Gudmundsson, midfielder Kevin Strootman, defenders Mattia Bani and Caleb Aguban are all likely out for Genoa here. Head-to-head, when these teams have played, they drew 1-1 and 2-2 last season. In their overall, going further back, both teams to score is also 7-1 in the past 8. I do think we could see both teams to score here, maybe over 1.5, but I can't really trust either team to get the win. I do think Sassuolo at home can at least get 1. Let's go Sassuolo to score. And next, it's Bologna and Atalanta. Now, it seems like all the top leagues in Europe this season have at least 1 surprise team. And in Italy, it's got to be Bologna. They're 4th right now with 28 points, while Atalanta are 7th with 26 points. Bologna still only have 2 losses in all competitions this season across 19 games. They scored in each of their past 12 games, and that includes on Wednesday when they beat Inter Milan 2-1 in the Coppa Italia round of 16. However, that game was 0-0 after 90 minutes and needed extra time. Atalanta's last 3 games have been a 4-1, 4-0, and 3-2 wins. Now, in all competitions this season, there's been 2 or more goals in 19 of 22 games with Atalanta. They've also scored in 20 of those 22. For Bologna, they've won 6 straight at home in all competitions. They're undefeated in 9 straight at home, and they've kept clean sheets in 4 straight at home and also in 5 of their past 7 at home. I want to say both teams to score in this game or over 1.5. But with all those clean sheets for Bologna right now, I think it's safer just to ask for Bologna to get 1 goal. So this parlay will be Villa to win, Sassuolo to score, and Bologna to score, coming in at plus 110 odds. The next parlay here, it's going to be an all EPL parlay on Saturday, kicking off with Fulham and Burnley. Burnley have just 2 wins this season, and they've come versus fellow promoted sides, Luton Town and Sheffield. In their 17 games, they've kept just 1 clean sheet, a 5-0 home win over Sheffield. Overall, they're 19th, they're 2-13, and have 8 points. They'll travel to Craven Cottage to face Fulham, 6-3-8. They're 11th, they have 21 points. Now, other than having the rest advantage with Fulham having just played and won in the Carabao Cup on Tuesday, they're getting a Fulham team probably at a bad time right now. Fulham have won 3 of 4 in all competitions, as well as 4 of 6. They've also scored 17 goals in their past 6 games, and they have scored in 15 of 21 games overall this season. Fulham are missing co-leading scorer Raul Jimenez through suspension, but they still have 6 other players who have scored multiple goals this season, so I do think they can still get at least 1 goal at home here. Let's go Fulham to score. Next up, it's Tottenham and Everton. Tottenham may be 5th, while Everton are 16th, but Everton is one of the hottest teams right now with 4 straight wins. Those have been by scores of 2-0, 2-0, 3-0, and 1-0. Now, it wasn't the EPL, but that streak ended on Tuesday when they drew 1-1 with Fulham in the League Cup, and they went on to lose in PKs. Tottenham has back-to-back wins themselves. They've won 2-0 and 4-1 in those scorelines. Last week's clean sheet of Forest was their first in 7 games. They've still scored in every single EPL game, plus 1 cup competition this season. Bets on both teams to score had been 7-0 prior to that Forest win, so while they are scoring, they are generally conceding goals. In the Premier League, Tottenham hasn't failed to score at home since way back in January, and that's a run of 17 games going back into last season. In Everton's last 18 games in all competitions, there's also been 2 or more goals in 15. They've also scored in 15 of 18. They've only failing versus Manchester United, Liverpool, and Arsenal, so all some of the top teams, which would still, Tottenham would probably fall into that category right now as well. Last year, these teams drew a 1-1 playing in Everton, and Tottenham won 2-0 at home. On its own, I could probably see both teams to score. Both teams scoring over 2.5. Both teams seem to be in good form. They're scoring. Tottenham likes to concede goals. Or I think, just to be safer though, like I like to do in these parlays, I'm going to go over 1.5. You could also switch it up to just Tottenham to score. They both pay about similar. The over 1.5 is slightly better. Let's go over 1.5 goals and not care where those 2 goals come from. What looks like one of the best matches this weekend, it's Liverpool and Arsenal. In the last game on the Saturday slate in the EPL, it's second hosting first. Liverpool and Arsenal separated by just 1 point right now. Liverpool have scored 36 compared to Arsenal's 35, while both have allowed just 15 goals in 17 games. Liverpool dropped points at Anfield last week in a rare slip-up as they drew 0-0 with Man U. They had won their previous 7 at home in the EPL. They're undefeated at 16-4-0 in their past 20, and they have just 1 home EPL loss since March 2021. If you were to just include games where there was fans and go back even further before COVID, that's just 1 home loss since 2017. Now, in Arsenal's 26 games in all comps this season, they've only failed to score twice themselves, though both were on the road. They were against Newcastle and Aston Villa, 2 of the better teams in the Premier League. Now, last year's 2 games between these teams were won 3-2 by Arsenal at home, and the teams drew 2-2 in Liverpool. In all competitions, Liverpool right now is 5-1-1 in their past 7. Ideally, with these 2 good teams, it probably does look like an open game with goals, but Arsenal were just shut out to Villa 1-0, and Liverpool just drew 0-0 with Man U. I do think, and when you consider that Liverpool they have kept a clean sheet in 4 of 6 at home, and also in 6 of 9 at home, the safer bet might just be to ask Liverpool to get on the board here, which is what I will do for this parlay. Fulham to score, Liverpool to score, and Tottenham, Everton over 1.5, coming in at minus 146 odds. And the final parlay number 3, it's on Saturday and Sunday in La Liga and back in England. So Atletico Madrid and Sevilla are the 2 teams. It's a makeup game from earlier this season. They'll be playing on Saturday. Atletico's perfect home record, it ended on Tuesday, and it was in wild fashion. They took a red card early in the 38th minute, but they still scored 3 goals. They were leading 3-1 over Getafe, but a late 87th minute goal plus a 93rd minute PK drew Getafe level. Atleti are now 8-1-0, still undefeated at home, but not perfect anymore. They've scored 22, and they've allowed 11. On their pitch, though, if you go back further, they're 18-2-0, so undefeated in 20 games when playing at home. They've also scored a goal in each of those games, and they've scored multiple goals in 16 of those 20 games as well. Now, that should very likely continue. They probably will win, but they should at least score against the struggling Sevilla side, who are 15th at 3-7-7. They finally got their first La Liga win in 10 games, but it did come against 19th place Granada as they won 3-0 on Tuesday. Sevilla had allowed a goal in 11 straight La Liga games prior to that, also in 14 of 17 games overall. Last season, Atleti won 6-1 in Madrid and 2-0 in Seville. I'm throwing in just Atleti to score, just simply for the purposes of bumping up this next bet to get this parlay closer to even money. And the bet will come on Sunday with the 1 EPL game. It's Wolves and Chelsea. Wolves started the season with a 1-0 loss. Their last game was a 3-0 loss. But in between that, they had scored in 17 straight games in all competitions prior to last week. In those 19 games, they've also conceded in 16. At home, Wolves have scored in each of their past 15 EPL games. If you've been betting both teams to score, it's 14-5, over 1.5 goals, so at least 2 goals has also hit in 16 of 19 games. Chelsea's games this season are averaging 3.2 goals per match. They're 14-3 to over 1.5 goals in the EPL as well. Chelsea have scored in 9 of 11 recent EPL games. However, they've also conceded a goal in 9 of 11 recent EPL games. When they're playing on the road in the EPL, Chelsea have conceded in 5 straight, and they've allowed 2, 2, 4, 1, and 1 goals in those games. They've also conceded in 18 of 21 road EPL games going way back into last season. However, Chelsea have also scored in 7 of their past 9 road EPL games. To me, this looks like a both teams to score on its own. The price is around -140, which is why I'm going to include that Atleti goal to bring this to much closer to even money at -111. And that will conclude that parlay. So there you have it. Those are my top 3 soccer parlays for this weekend's actions. Whether this weekend's games, whether you follow these bets, use the info to make some different bets, or have bets on completely different games. I hope all of your bets are winners in soccer this weekend, and have a good holiday.